Good morning, students. Let's let's see in occlusion in complete dentures part 2. So, in previously we have seen few definitions. Next, the difference between natural dentition and artificial dentition. Now, the history and evolution of occlusion and its concept. How these occlusal concepts in complete denture has been developed. See, there are various concepts. So, in your articulator class, Vamsi sir has taught you different articulators. So depending on the articulators, those authors have given different concepts. Few are depending on Bonville triangle. See, Bonville triangle, you remember, it is an equilateral triangle consisting of 4 inch on each side of triangle is made up of 4 inch connecting between two condyles to the center of incisal edge of mandible. So, Bonville triangle. Depending on that, he developed a concept of occlusion. Then Blackwell, depending on the translation of the condyle, he has given one concept. Then Geisy, so depending on him, his own philosophy he has given. So there are various concepts, and also depending on the compensating curves, such as curve of speed, monsoon curve, pleasure curve, anti-monsoon curve. Depending on all this, which occur naturally, the occlusion has been developed. So, the compensating curves we see in lateral part of our theory part or theory class. So, one could call all these age of occlusal theories. So, previously, all occlusal theories has been developed. These can be summarized as being basically formulated for complete denture patient in which bilateral balanced occlusion in eccentric movements was considered essential. So, you remember, in complete denture patient, bilateral balanced occlusion is considered essential. So, in complete denture patients, now in this theory we are dealing with complete denture patients or occlusion in complete denture patient, we have to give bilateral balanced occlusion. So we have already seen canine protection occlusion, group function occlusion. So just a refresh of it. So in canine guidal occlusion, see, during lateral movement on the working side, only the tip of upper canine and lower canine are in contact. The posterior teeth are in disocclusion, out of contact. This we can see in young patients without wound dentition. Okay. This canine protection occlusion is also known as mutually protection occlusion or organic occlusion. See, this next picture we can see when mandible is moved towards the working side, the posterior teeth, all the premolars and molars in contact. So not only the one teeth, so many teeth are in contact. So this is known as group function occlusion. Canine protection occlusion, group function occlusion. Now, coming to, so we have seen the difference between the natural dentition and artificial dentition, right? Okay. The artificial dentition, the occlusion or the teeth arrangement done on the denture base, removable basis, is known as artificial dentition or artificial occlusion. So, all of you remember, when the dentures, complete dentures are given to the patient, they obtain support from two tissues. What are those two tissues? They obtain support from residual alveolar bone, hard tissue, and over the bone you have mucosal tissue. It is a soft tissue. So, supporting structure for complete denture patient consists of hard and soft tissue. So, both these tissues undergo constant change. As age of the patient increases, the soft and hard tissue undergo change. So these changes are due to because of the pressure from external force or due to nutrition or blood supply from the internal source. So externally, if there is any pressure out from outside onto the tissues, or internal pressure because of blood pressure or because of the lack of nutrition, any changes takes place, that is internal. So the changes of hard and soft tissue can be occurred due to external forces or from internal forces. If this change is only temporary, the tissue can come back to its normal state, either mucosa or the bone. If there is a change is temporary, that will come back to normal state. So if this changes happen for a long time, if change happens for a long time, that will become a permanent change. For example, pressure on the bone for a limited time does not cause any change on the bone. If pressure occurs on the bone for a long time, for example, you apply, you press your hand for a long time, you get numbness. So if you press for a while, it does not cause any pain or harm to you. Same way, if pressure occurs for a long time, it leads to permanent change. So in complete denture patient, the soft and hard tissue undergo changes. So these changes has to be temporary. If permanently changes, even the occlusion and the denture base undergo modification. Now next, reaction of the bone to pressure and tension. So we have seen the supporting structure of complete denture patient is bone and soft tissue. Bone, which is a hard tissue, undergo change. Okay. If forces on the bone are vertical, for example, when natural teeth are there, if forces are applied along the long axis of the tooth, which are vertical in nature, they cause bone deposition or bone apposition. The forces on the bone, if they are vertical forces, they cause bone apposition. If perpendicular forces, if forces are perpendicular or tangential to the long axis of the tooth, they are non-vertical forces. They cause bone resorption or tooth mobility. See, right now we are talking about dentulous patient. Forces on the tooth, if they are vertical, they cause bone apposition or bone deposition. Non-vertical forces on the tooth causes bone resorption or tooth mobility. Okay. Now, as we all know, in our human body, bone undergoes constant remodeling. Remodeling means bone deposition takes place followed by bone resorption. Again bone deposition followed by bone resorption. Bone remodeling takes place until complete growth happens. Once at a later age, at old age, only the resorption, more resorption takes place compared to deposition. That's why the bones become fragile or become osteoporotic in an old patient because of more activity of osteoclasts. Okay, so the stress on the bone leads to constant bone remodeling, means bone deposition takes place as well as bone resorption. Now, if stress is of tension type, stress on the bone can be tension type or pressure type. If it is tension type of stress leads to bone deposition. Pressure type of stress lead to bone resorption. Remember, tensional stress leads to bone deposition. If stress is of pressure type, leads to bone resorption. Okay, when natural teeth are there, because of periodontal ligament stimulation, it is of tension type of stress happens on the bone leads to bone deposition. Okay, when natural teeth are there, tensional stress will be generated, leads to bone deposition. When there is a lack of teeth in edentulous patient, always the stress will be pressure type. The load or stress on the bone in edentulous patient will be always pressure type. So pressure type of bone leads to bone resorption. Remember, in edentulous patient, the pressure will be the pressure on the bone caused by a masticatory load or pressure caused by denture bases leads to bone resorption. Okay, coming here. In denture varus, pressure on the periosteum interferes blood supply. And again, in denture varus, the blood supply to the bone is primarily due to periosteum. So, if the denture bases causes interference of this blood supply to the periosteum, again it leads to necrosis and resorption. So, in denture patients, denture wearing patients, the pressure created by masticatory load and the interference of periosteal blood supply leads to bone resorption. So, one of the causative factor of this pressure in complete denture patient is the occlusion created by the dentist. So, the occlusion created by us will generate the load. That load transmitted to the bone creates pressure, further lead to bone resorption. So, if our occlusion is stable and good, minimal forces will be generated and minimal resorption. If occlusion load is more, the pressure will be anomalous, leads to more bone resorption or more damaging forces. So, depending on occlusion, the bone resorption will be. Remember. So now, as you remember now, so it is very important. Requirements of complete denture occlusion. So what all we should remember before we develop complete denture occlusion. 1. Stability of occlusion in centric relation and in areas forward and lateral to it. So always the occlusion should be stable. Means in centric relation and in areas forward and lateral to it. In centric as well as in eccentric movement, the occlusion should be stable on right side and left side, anteriorly and posteriorly. Okay, stable the force, stable the occlusion, minimal the force. Unstable forces leads to rocking dentures, or one area of the occlusion will generate more forces, leads to determinantal to the bone. Okay, stability of occlusion is important. Then balanced contacts bilaterally for all eccentric mandibular movements. Remember, what are eccentric mandibular movements? Protrusive and working side, balancing side, or lateral movements. Protrusive and lateral movements, there should be a balanced contact bilaterally, both right side and left side. During protrusion and during lateral movements, contacts has to be there to distribute the amount of load. As the more the contacts, the forces will be evenly distributed. If contact happens only on one side, in that region more forces will be generated. Next, see the third point. See, all of you, we are dentulous, right? We have teeth. When we clench the teeth and try to move the mandible, clench your teeth, move the mandible anteriorly and posteriorly. See, we cannot move freely because the cusp, upper teeth cusp and lower teeth cusp will get interdigitated or intercuspated. When we try to move the mandible, the mesial slope, mesial slope of lower teeth cusp will be locked by distal slopes of upper teeth cusp. Okay, mesial slopes of lower teeth cusp will be locked by distal slopes of upper teeth cusp. That's why we cannot move freely. So this should not happen in complete denture patients. In complete denture patients, as we see, ridges resorb and also mucosa is a resilient. So the teeth has to move freely, or there should be a limited amount of movement has to be there. So in order to prevent any kind of damaging forces. So see the third point. Unlocking the cusp mesiodistally. We should unlock the cusp mesiodistally to allow for gradual but inevitable settling of bases. To allow gradual movement for the settling of bases due to tissue deformation and bone resorption. Because of tissue deformation, changes in the soft tissue and bone resorption, the dentures will settle or dentures will slightly move. So to allow that movement, we should unlock the cusp mesiodistal. At the same time, fourth point, control of horizontal forces by buccolingual cuspal height reduction. So we have seen previously, even the cusp buccally-lingually, when mandible is moved right side and left side, so clench your teeth and move the mandible right side and left side. You cannot move freely. But in denture patients, we reduce the cusp buccally. Buccolingual cusp height should be reduced to control these horizontal forces so that the residual ridge resistance and interridge space. So this has to be done according to residual ridge resistance and interridge space. See this. So this is the cross section of the residual ridge, denture base and the teeth. See, if you have a good residual ridge, well formed residual ridge, we can give a good cuspal teeth. The well formed ridge can resist horizontal forces of cuspal teeth. So ridges are good, they can resist the horizontal forces generated by cusp teeth. See, as ridge resorbs, as the height of the ridge resorbs, we have to alter the cuspal height. Highly the ridge resorb, we have to keep flat surface of the tooth. The use of flat non-anatomic teeth with flat ridge. And also, see, the functional lever balance by favorable tooth to ridge crest position. So we have to position the artificial tooth close to the ridge to prevent any kind of leverage forces. So we keep far away from the ridge. Artificial teeth are positioned away from the ridge. They create leverage forces. Due to these leverage forces, the denture will keep rocking. As denture rock, there won't be any kind of stable occlusion. So to prevent or to obtain functional lever balance, we should position the tooth close to the ridge crest. Then cutting, penetrating and shearing efficiency of the occlusal surface. So the posterior teeth should have proper cutting, penetrating and shearing efficiency for proper mastication of the food. And anterior clearance of teeth during mastication and brushing activity. Remember, when patient in centric occlusion, only the posterior teeth, or during mastication only posterior teeth has to be in contact. Anteriorly, upper and lower anterior teeth should have clearance, or over jet has to be there. And minimal occlusal contact between upper and lower teeth to reduce pressure during function. See, we have seen lingualized occlusion, right? Maxillary lingual cusp or palatal cusp contact the mandibular occlusal surface. So by reducing the amount of contact area, the forces created during mastication can be reduced. The minimal occlusal contact between upper and lower teeth to reduce pressure during function. Okay. Now, depending on these, see, we have seen the requirements, right? Depending on these requirements, it can be applied if the occlusion is divided into 3 distinct units. Depending on the requirements of artificial occlusion, the units, the teeth, artificial units or teeth, artificial teeth can be divided into 3 units. One is incisal, working and balancing units. Requirements of incisal units. So incisal, incision, used for biting or tearing, right? It should be sharp in order to cut efficiently. Incising units, anterior should be sharp and should cut efficiently. And incising or anterior, right? They should not contact during mastication. The mastication or chewing is done only with posterior teeth. So during that time, anterior incising unit should not be in contact. Should contact only during protrusive incising function. So during protrusive function, where the mandible is moved forward, then only the lower anterior should slide on the incisal edges of, lingual slopes of upper anteriors. So lower teeth should slide on the lingual slopes of upper anteriors only during protrusion. and should have a flat incisal guidance as possible considering aesthetics and phonetics. The incisal guidance we see in the lateral part should be flat enough. It should not be steep. The steeper the incisal edge create more dislodging forces. So incisal guidance should be flat. Same time we should obtain aesthetics and phonetics also. And should have horizontal overlap to allow for base settling without interference. There should be proper overjet to allow proper base movement without interference. So without horizontal overlap, it leads to interference and rocking of the dentures. Now, requirements of working occlusal units. Occlusal units are posterior units. Should be effective in cutting and grinding. Okay. See, incisal units should cut effectively. Posterior should cut effective in cutting into small pieces and grinding or chewing. And second point is very, very important. The posterior artificial teeth should have less buccolingual width compared to natural teeth. Compared to natural teeth, buccolingually means from outside to inside, the size of the tooth should be less to minimize the workload. As the size of the tooth lessened, the force generated by the teeth also will be lessened. So to minimize the load, the buccolingual width of artificial tooth should be lesser than that of natural teeth. And they function as a group with simultaneous harmonious contact at the end of chewing cycle and eccentric excursion. See, as we see in the previous class, artificial dentition work like a group, and harmonious contact should be there at the end of chewing cycle and eccentric excursion. For example, if you are chewing on the right side, first as you start your chewing the complete dentures, first only the right teeth will be in contact. At the end of chewing cycle, at the end of the chewing, even not only the right side, even on the left side the teeth has to be in contact. So at the end of chewing cycle, the opposite side also should be in contact. And the posterior teeth, occlusal unit should be over the ridge crust in the masticatory area for liver balance. See, we have seen the requirements of complete denture occlusion, right? So the posterior teeth should be present on the ridge crust in the masticatory area. Masticatory area means bicuspids and molar area. Premolars and molar areas, the teeth should be over the ridge crust to provide liver balance. And should have surface to receive and transmit force of occlusion essentially vertically. So when we are setting the teeth, we have to see that the occlusal load has to be transmitted vertically. We have seen vertical forces are favorable to the bone. Non-vertical forces or forces applied inclining or determinantal or harmful to the bone. So we should create a surface, occlusal surface, by setting the teeth such that they transmit the occlusal load vertically, and should center the workload near the anterior posterior center of the denture. See, to take a maxillary denture, anterior part is at the labial frenum or labial flange area. Posterior part is in the distal most area. Posterior part is the distal most area of the complete denture. Exactly in the middle or the center means premolar area. So starting is the incisal area of the incisal tooth where it is present. Posterior part of the denture which is covering the postpalatal seal area. So if you take the length, complete length of the upper denture, center of the denture will come in the premolar area. So when patient is masticating, the workload should be formed at the center area, means in the premolar or molar area near the anterior posterior center of the denture, which comes exactly at the center of the denture. Okay, and plane of occlusion should be as parallel as possible to mean foundation plane. So the plane of occlusal plane should be parallel to the ridges. They should not be angulated. Or mandibular ridge is flat, means we should create a parallel occlusal plane. Next, requirements of balancing occlusal units means on non-working side, how the occlusal units has to be. Should contact on second molar when the incising units come contacting function. When patient uses anterior teeth for incising, the second molar on the balancing side should be in contact. Okay. When patient bite uses anterior teeth to incise or to function, then second molar should be in contact, so that the dentures will not lift posteriorly. If there is no contact posteriorly, the denture bases will be tilted or lifted posteriorly, and should contact at the end of chewing cycle when the working units contact. We have seen previously. See here. At the end of chewing cycle, okay, at the end of chewing cycle, even the balance inside contact has to be there along with the working side units. Should have smooth gliding contact for lateral and protrusive excursion. Now we have seen, right? The mesiodistal interlocking or buccolingual interlocking should not be there, so that when patient is chewing, there should be smooth gliding of upper and lower teeth without any lateral or protrusive interferences or excursion, right? And this is very, very important. CS has given axioms or standards for artificial occlusion. So what are the protocols or standards we have to follow for artificial occlusion? The smaller the area of occlusal surface acting on foot, smaller will be the crushing force on the foot transmitted to the supporting structures. See, we have seen the buccolingually, the artificial teeth should be lesser than that of natural teeth. The size or width of buccolingual width of artificial teeth should be less than the natural teeth. So smaller the area of occlusal surface acting on the foot for masticating the food, smaller will be the force generated, and the same small force will be a lesser force will be transmitted to the supporting tissues. And vertical force applied to an inclined occlusal surface causes non-vertical force on the denture base. So always the vertical forces should be applied vertically along the long axis. This should not be applied on any steep or angulated surfaces. So vertical forces applied to an inclined occlusal surface causes non-vertical forces on the denture base. For example, if you set your second molars mandibular denture, if you place your second molars onto the retromolar pad. See, retromolar pad, as you move posteriorly on the ridge, mandibular ridge, as you go beyond the second molar, as you approach retromolar pad, it will be inclined, it will be steep in nature. So if you set your artificial teeth in the denture base, either on the retropolar pad or on the tuberosity of maxilla, it will be on an inclined surface. So forces on the inclined occlusal surface causes non-vertical forces. So never set your teeth on any inclined surfaces such as retromolar pad or on the tuberosity. Always see that you should set your artificial teeth on a flat bony foundation. Okay. Vertical forces applied to an inclined supporting tissues. Supporting tissues are inclined, causes non-vertical force on the denture base. Same way. So if you position on an inclined supporting surface, vertical forces created on inclined surface causes non-vertical force. So, then fourth, vertical forces applied to a denture base supported by yielding tissue. Yielding tissue means flabby tissue or tissues which are loose in nature. So, mucosal tissue are firm that can be able to absorb the force and can hold the denture in its position. If the mucosal tissue are loose or freely movable, if you apply pressure on the freely movable tissue, even the denture base will be moving or rocking. So the forces applied to a denture base supported by yielding tissue causes base to teeter. Teeter means move unstably when the force is not centered on the base. So always see that before you start your complete denture treatment, the mucosal tissue should be firm and resilient. Over that, the denture base has to be given so that it will be stable in its position. Last, vertical force applied outside to the ridge crest creates tipping force on the base. So as we already seen previously, the teeth has to be set on the crest of the ridge, close to the crest of the ridge. So to create functional liver balance. So if you place your artificial teeth outside, lateral to the crest of the ridge, they create a tipping forces. For example, mandibular teeth, you set to buckle to the center of the ridge because of the cheek forces. Because of the cheek forces, it will be tilting. And also, if you set your teeth too much lingual to the center of the ridge, the tongue will be keep on applying forces, leads to again tilting. So vertical force applied outside the ridge crest creates tipping forces on the base. So always try to position your artificial teeth in the ridge crest area or center of the crest. No. Forces of mastication. See, the force required for masticating the food with natural teeth has seen that in the range of 5 to 175 pounds of pressure is required. So 5 to 175 pounds of pressure is required with the natural teeth to masticate the food. Same, if you see with the complete denture, the amount of force required is 22 to 24 pounds. See, with the natural teeth, 5 to 175 pounds of force is used, whereas with complete denture, 22 to 24 pounds are only used. Okay, so when we see this amount of force is only 10 to 15% compared to natural dentition. So the force used with the complete dentures or force used by denture patients to masticate the food is only 10 to 15% compared to the natural dentition. Force used by the natural dentition. Okay. Now, second bicuspid is always preferred. Second bicuspid is always preferred for heaviest load, followed by first molar and first bicuspid. Okay. Denture patients, complete denture patients use second premolar to masticate heavy food, followed by first molar and first premolar. Harder the food, patient prefer to use bicuspids. So in denture patient, in CD patients, harder the food, patient prefer to chew with bicuspids. Softer the food, softer the cooked food, patient uses molars for mastication. Okay, remember this: harder the food, bicuspids are used. Softer the food, molars. So not only the pressures are applied during mastication or load generated during mastication. So even chewing phase is important. Okay, even the chewing phase is important. So whether it is starting of the chewing or at the end of the chewing. So chewing phase already we seen. When patient is chewing on left side. At the starting of the chewing cycle, only the left side teeth will be active. They come into contact. The end of the chewing cycle, not only the left side, the teeth on the right side, balancing side or non-working side also will come into contact. Okay. And force on the teeth during swallowing. The forces on the teeth are occur not only during mastication, during swallowing also. See, you swallow and see. During swallowing, each swallowing cycle, upper and lower teeth will be in contact. The forces on the teeth during swallowing also will be generated. These swallowing, the forces on the teeth during swallowing are little higher compared to masticatory forces. Okay, the forces generated on the teeth during swallowing are higher than the force generated during mastication. Because, see, mastication happens only for a limited time during the day, but swallowing approximately happens 1,000 times a day. Okay, swallowing happens 1,000 times a day. So each time it may be minimal, but the number of times are more. As the number of times or number of swallowing cycles are more during day, there will be more amount of forces generated on the teeth compared to masticated lobe. So remembering all this, good stable occlusion in centriculation and area of occlusion is very very important in artificial dentition. So in complete denture patient, when you are creating occlusion, there should be good stable occlusion in centriculation and area of occlusion means premolar and molars. Area of occlusion is also important. Okay, thank you. Next part we see later on.